I think it's good because what happened there is other people who never watch boxing or they don't know anything about boxing, they wanna watch Jake Paul because he's coming from he bring fans from other world, right? Yeah. That's good because everybody enjoy it.
Would you ever entertain that idea when you're done?
Maybe.
There are some reports now coming out that Canelo Jake Paul is a thing in May as well. Which, by the way, what a freaking year for Canelo Alvarez. Holy shit. Those are two gigantic paydays.
Canelo Alvarez has finally broken his silence on the rumored mega fight against Jake Paul, sending shockwaves through the boxing world. Reports are swirling that both fighters have agreed to step into the ring this May, setting the stage for one of the most unexpected matchups in recent memory. While many fans are still in disbelief that Canelo would entertain such a bout, insiders suggest that this fight serves as nothing more than a warm-up for the Mexican superstar. His real challenge, of course, comes later in the year when he is set to defend his unified super middleweight titles against Terence Crawford on September 13th at the iconic T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. This rumored clash between Canelo and Paul has left boxing purists scratching their heads. On one side, you have Canelo Alvarez, a generational talent, a four-division world champion, and arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter of this era. On the other, there's Jake Paul, the social media sensation-turned-boxer who has built a career by taking on aging legends and opponents with limited boxing experience. While Jake has certainly improved inside the ring and gained respect for his commitment to the sport, stepping in against Canelo is an entirely different beast still. The financial appeal of this fight is undeniable. With Jake Paul's massive fanbase and ability to generate pay-per-view sales, this event could bring in record-breaking numbers. It's no secret that boxing is a business, and if the money is right, almost anything can happen. Whether this fight is truly happening or just another rumor remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: if Canelo and Jake do square off in May, the boxing world will be watching closely.
If that fight ends up being close,
yes,
a lot of people are going to watch that fight, right?
A lot, because I think a lot of people are going to want to see Jake Paul lose, and
100%.
According to Julius Giuliani's, reports suggest that Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul have officially agreed to fight, but several key details still remain unclear. The biggest questions revolve around the weight class and the number of rounds, both of which could significantly impact how this fight plays out. While Jake Paul has competed as a cruiserweight for most of his boxing career, Canelo Alvarez has dominated multiple divisions, with his current stronghold being the super middleweight division at 168 pounds. If this fight is set at a catchweight, it could give Paul a better chance of competing, but if Canelo insists on his usual fighting weight, it could be a major challenge for the YouTuber-turned-boxer. With an impressive record of 62 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, Canelo Alvarez is a proven warrior inside the ring. He has defeated some of the best boxers in the world and built a legacy as one of the sport's most dominant champions. More importantly, he has never been one for exhibition bouts, which makes it highly unlikely that he would step into the ring for anything less than a legitimate, sanctioned fight. Canelo's reputation is built on facing top-tier competition, and agreeing to an exhibition match against Jake Paul wouldn't align with his career philosophy. However, the financial aspect of this fight cannot be ignored. If this matchup does happen, it has the potential to surpass Canelo's highly anticipated September showdown against Terence Crawford in pay-per-view sales. The reason? Jake Paul's unmatched social media influence. With 23.6 million Instagram followers and 20.6 million YouTube subscribers, Paul brings a level of mainstream attention that few boxers can match. His ability to hype up a fight and attract a younger audience has already been proven with his previous bouts, and a fight against Canelo would likely shatter records in terms of global reach and revenue. While some fans might scoff at the idea of Jake Paul stepping into the ring with a legend like Canelo, the reality is that boxing is as much about business as it is about skill. If the numbers add up and the details are ironed out, this fight could become one of the biggest combat sports events of the year.
You said that you'd like to go up against Canelo Alvarez. What gives you the right to call out a 59-2 boxer, one of the greatest of all time, when you've not yet proven yourself?
I'm predicting what's going to happen 3 more years from now.
So I'm
going to get to his skill level and beat him. I have one of the greatest self-belief systems in the world, and I know what I'm capable of, and with this new team, I can give Canelo a serious run for his money.
Crawford's star power doesn't come close to Canelo's. His last pay-per-view fight against Israil Madrimov on August 3rd was a disaster, pulling in only 75,000 to 100,000 buys. If not for Turkey El Sheikh's willingness to spend big on Canelo, a fight with Crawford wouldn't even be worth considering. Meanwhile, social media is buzzing with disbelief at the idea of Canelo fighting YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul. Many fans refuse to believe he would stoop to that level. However, in a recent interview with TMZ Sports, the Mexican superstar made it clear if the price is right, he's open to it. Financially, a showdown with Jake could bring in far more money than his scheduled May fight against IBF super middleweight champion William Skull. Reports suggest that a deal is already in place for Jake Paul to be Canelo's opponent in May. A source close to the situation told Julius Giulianis that the event will be co-promoted by Canelo Promotions, MVP, and PBC. Jake Paul is coming off a controversial victory over 59-year-old Mike Tyson, winning by unanimous decision after 8 rounds in Arlington, Texas, on November 15. If Canelo takes this fight, critics will say he's coasting through a retirement tour, cashing in on low-risk matchups while squeezing every last dollar from fans through pay-per-view. Since his loss to Dimitri Bivol on May 7, 2022, many believe he hasn't truly tested himself in a high-stakes fight. Of course, there's no concrete proof that this fight is happening, something even fans seem to question. Boxing commentator Wade Plem shared his thoughts on the speculation, saying, "I thought if this was ever going to happen, it would be years from now. But in 3 months? While Canelo is still a sitting champ? If this is real, it's the last thing anyone would expect." However, his next comment made it clear that this isn't just some baseless rumor. "I don't know for sure, but too many respected journalists and analysts are talking about it for this to be nothing." While it could be bad reporting or a strategic leak, this isn't the kind of news that just appears out of nowhere. Even Ariel Helwani seems to be buying into the May fight rumors. On the February 4th episode of The Ariel Helwani Show, the seasoned MMA journalist appeared to take the reports seriously. Though he didn't confirm the fight's legitimacy, he also didn't dismiss it as fake or a hoax. This suggests there may be some truth to it and that Canelo could be gearing up for 2 major fights in 2025. Helwani reacted to the rumors by saying, "There are reports now that Canelo vs. Jake Paul is happening in May. And honestly, what a freaking year for Canelo Alvarez. Those are 2 gigantic paydays. These are 2 massive events. Right now, it's hard to say whether this fight is pure speculation or something real. But with more reports surfacing and insiders weighing in, it's clear there's more to this than just fantasy."
A question: if it's a close fight, does it diminish the gigantic fight in September, or does it make you more interested? Because I think now, I mean, David Benavidez offered a deferring point, but I think a lot of people think Canelo is just going to be too big for Terence Crawford.
Although Ariel Helwani didn't officially confirm the reports, he also didn't shut them down. Given his strong connections in the fight world, he often has inside information before the news becomes public. The fact that he didn't deny it outright makes people wonder, could there actually be some truth to this? As for the fight itself, very few believe Jake Paul stands a chance against Canelo Alvarez in this rumored Cinco de Mayo showdown. Jake's boxing career has been built on carefully chosen opponents, either non-boxers or fighters past their prime, giving him an edge. But stepping into the ring with Canelo is a completely different challenge. Many fans see this as a one-sided mismatch, making it hard to justify paying for the fight. The only way this bout lasts beyond the first round is if Canelo decides to drag it out, something some fans think he has done before. There's a theory that in his fights against Edgar Berlanga and Jamie Munguia, Canelo carried his opponents longer than necessary to avoid backlash for picking easier fights. If he fights Jake, could he do the same right now? The Canelo vs. Jake Paul fight remains unconfirmed, but speculation is growing. For Canelo, this could be an easy payday and a way to stay sharp before his September fight against the dangerous Terence Crawford at 154 pounds. However, this situation highlights the reality of Canelo's career today. He's facing lesser opponents instead of testing himself against younger, faster challengers. Is this just a business move, or is Canelo avoiding real competition?
He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's, where his mindset's at.
It get f***ed up by Canelo. Oh, I'm sorry. It's TMT.
You can curse.
I apologize, but
no apologize.
There's no way he get demolished.
Jake Paul has built a massive fortune through boxing, with an estimated net worth of $100 million. Thanks to his huge following on Instagram and YouTube, he cashes in millions per fight, whether he's taking on non-boxers or legends past their prime, like Mike Tyson. And no matter who he fights, his loyal fan base keeps showing up. But let's be real, this is Canelo Alvarez we're talking about. Oladipo Adebayo, speaking to DAZN Boxing, made it clear, with all due respect to Jake, this is Canelo, possibly a top 5 fighter ever. This fight doesn't last around. Oladipo went even further, saying, if Canelo wanted to end it in a minute, he absolutely could. No disrespect to Jake, what he and his brother have done in entertainment and boxing is amazing. But Jake is stepping in with a pound-for-pound great, a guy who has only lost to Dimitri Bivol and Floyd Mayweather, and who is still at the top of his game. If this fight lasts more than a round, many believe it's only because Canelo is carrying him. But regardless, you have to respect Jake's courage. This isn't Anderson Silva or Mike Tyson, Canelo is a legitimate, active world champion. It's crazy, but considering how well Jake's Netflix event performed, you can bet he's already thinking about how to recreate that success. Meanwhile, Jake Paul has hinted at a July comeback fight in New York, marking his first bout since beating Mike Tyson last November. Speculation is running wild about his next opponent. Could it be a rematch with Tommy Fury? Or could he really convince Canelo Alvarez to step in the ring if Jake does face Canelo? Many see it as a warm-up for Canelo before his highly anticipated pound-for-pound showdown with Terence Crawford, set for September in Las Vegas. However, Paul's latest social media post throws a wrench into that theory. On X, Twitter, he posted, "It's time. Saturday, July 5th. New York, New York." That date raises questions, because if Jake fights in July, would he still be ready to face Canelo in May? Not to mention, Canelo already has Crawford lined up for September. For Canelo, stepping away from his tradition of fighting on Mexican holiday weekends in May and September would be a big shift. Meanwhile, Jake claims his next fight will be his toughest yet, sharing a video of himself grinding in the gym in Puerto Rico. Jake Paul, aka the problem child, has never been shy about calling out big names, and Canelo Alvarez is no exception. He's repeatedly said he wants to test himself against one of the greatest fighters of this era, but let's be honest, Jake's experience against elite opponents is limited, and the chances of this fight being for one of Canelo's 168 pounds titles? Pretty much zero. Even Nikisha Bidarian, Paul's advisor, admitted that while the fight could happen, there are plenty of hurdles to clear. Speaking on the Ariel Helwani show, he explained that we just put on the biggest combat sports event since cable TV began. No matter what kind of fighter you are, you have to look at that and think, this is a special platform. He also made it clear that this fight isn't about belts or rankings. Jake Paul doesn't need Canelo for fame or titles. And Canelo doesn't need Jake to make money. But if it happens, it has to be bigger than just another fight. It has to be something that makes the whole world stop and say, boxing is back. Money isn't the issue, it's about making the right fight at the right time. That said, 2025 could be one of the biggest years in Canelo's career. If he faces both Crawford and Paul, the paydays would be massive, but his focus remains on cementing his legacy. Meanwhile, Jake is eager to silence his critics, and stepping into the ring with Canelo would be the ultimate test, one where he'd enter as a huge underdog. So, what do you think? Could this fight actually happen? That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update.